Okay, so I'm going to do an actual layout demo um, that really shows you how to go through your animatic and grab your really, really rough backgrounds and how to start creating layouts out of them. So here is my example project. This is the banana film that I've been working on. And I have this scene where Anna has fallen down on a banana slip outside of a turn of the century streetcar, and the conductor is bending over to help her up. Now, I realize that I have this in two different scenes. I have this one where she's about to board, and then I have the one where she's on the ground. So I want to make sure my layout can both accommodate, I'm going to be reusing the layout, right? It's the same layout in this shot as it is in this shot. And I want to make sure that her standing and her being fallen with the conductor leaning down will accommodate the same layout as it were. So I'm going to screenshot both of these, right? So I'm going to screenshot the first shot where the layout is used, and I'm going to screenshot this one where the conductor is helping her up off of the ground. So I screenshotted both of those. I'm going to go into Photoshop and I'm going to create a new composition. And to work with standard animation backgrounds, if you're not doing any zooms or pans or camera moves, if it's just a still, you can work at 1920 by 1080 at 72 DPI. Now, obviously, you can work larger if you want, but screen resolution is 72, and any more than that, it's going to be bogging the file down. But this is sort of the industry standard. So I'm going to go ahead and open one up that looks like this, and I'm going to bring in both of those screenshots that I just created. So I'm going to select all and copy and paste it here. And I'm just going to sort of scale it up so that it's the full 1920 by 1080. The screenshot that I took out of my QuickTime animatic was probably not at full resolution, but that's fine. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to copy and paste and then just scale it up this way. There we go. So now I have both those sort of positions. And if I sort of, oh wait, I copied and pasted the same thing. Never mind, hold on. Boop, boop, there we go. There we go. Okay, copy and paste. There we go. That's what I wanted. So now, as I was saying, I could put this on multiply and get a sense of the two positions that Anna is in and the two positions that the conductor is in. I'm going to go ahead and add a layer, and I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to give it a stroke just so that I know where my camera gate is. And I'm going to show you why I'm doing this. So I'm just going to do a stroke of 10 on the outside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to expand my canvas to give me some working area, right? And you'll see why in a second why I'm doing this. So I've given myself a lot more room to sort of put some reference and move stuff out around and figure out horizon line and perspective and all that good stuff. Now, looking at this, again, I kind of want a very simplified background like Gerald McBoing Boing. I'm not going to get too detailed, but I still need to sort of figure out a basic horizon line and where my camera is, because that's going to dictate the perspective of, most importantly, the trolley car. So before I do that, I'm just going to take these two, my stroke and my two references, and I'm going to just group them just to kind of, this is my reference. And, go ahead and save so that, oh yeah, sure. There we go. Layout demo, there we go. Okay, so in my pure ref, I have grabbed a lot of reference. So I have a bunch of reference here of New York City around the time that I wanted. And I was trying to get photos of the street and of streetcars and of crowds of people. A lot of this is from actually like early movies that were done. They were up-res, which is why they look super smooth. And I just screenshotted them. It's basically just someone moving through the city and filming it. And so I grabbed a bunch of reference photos here. So what I kind of want to do, again, if you're a pro at perspective and you're a pro at environment, you could easily just look at this and start mapping in your perspective grid. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you wanted to kind of go ahead and start figuring out, okay, here is my horizon line. That's a really thick stroke. There we go. Let's bump this down. You know, I could just also use my brush and hold down Shift to get a straight line. So again, I don't know if I want my horizon line like right in the middle because that's kind of boring. So again, am I looking slightly down? Am I looking slightly up? Like, what is the angle of my camera? So here, we're kind of on the eye level of the passengers, and we're kind of looking down at her falling. So I'm going to say my horizon line is pretty far up. We're kind of, it's a slight down shot here. And again, you could just say, okay, I'm going to figure out my perspective points. And so here is, let me see. Again, perspective is not my bailiwick, so, oh no. So I'm trying to do shift and do diagonal lines, and it doesn't like that for me. So I could just sort of do a 1-point perspective here. That's completely fine. I could sort of do that. Let's see. Again, I wish I could teach you more about perspective, but like, you know, I could sort of just roughly get a sense of, oh, Jesus. It's so hard with the line tool. There we go. So again, if you kind of know how to build out your perspective this way, that's awesome. But again, I know that I'm not as confident with it. So I'm going to show you what I do instead. So I'm going to look at all these reference pictures and I'm going to find something that's kind of close to what I want and be like, okay, I want it that's, you know, the street receding. I want it kind of, you know, she's getting on the trolley. So I'm like looking at what pictures might be a good start. So maybe this one. So I'm just going to copy this out of PureRef and I can just sort of paste it in here. And again, I can sort of match it to where my horizon line was. And again, like, you know, I'm basically starting to bring in, let's see. There was another one that I liked. I think it was this one. You know, I could look online to see if I could find some more. But generally speaking, so I don't really want any build. I want sort of sky in the background like this, which is why I used this one. And I kind of like, I don't have the trolley coming out vertical like this, but I sort of like the wide boulevard and the fact that there's a store here because she was just looking at a store window. I think I also had this one and this one. I'm just going to copy these and sort of paste them into, whoop, brought in the black. I did not anticipate that. There we go. Just copy, paste, copy, paste. There we go. So I'm going to hide my PureRef for now. There we go. And I can just bump down the opacities of these. And again, I'm just getting an idea of, like, without the trolley, where is the street? Where is sort of the corner she just came from? Because then I can sort of start blocking in the basic shapes, right? So like if this is the building, and again, right now, I'm just thinking about pure, like, shapes. I'm not really even thinking about anything more than that. There we go. So again, I'm just going to sort of block in that shape like that. And then I don't want that street light there, so I'm not going to be using it. But what I might do over here is just kind of map out and I'm just going to add a layer that has a sense of that horizon line, which is right about there. There we go. Okay. And at that point, I can hide this image because it has served its purpose. I don't really need it anymore at this point. Even this shape right here, I could sort of lasso it and delete it. Oop. Delete it so that it's more perspective. And again, I could sort of do the same thing with lasso too, go away. There we go. My goodness. There we go. I could also do the same thing with this image and see if like maybe this would work better. So maybe I'll delete those shapes and again, just kind of see whether or not if I scale this up, giving a sense of, so I want to keep this space open because there's the action that happens there. But again, so there I'm matching it on the perspective. So I could sort of use these buildings in addition to, this one I don't think is as, because I'm like on the sidewalk, so I don't think the perspective of that really quite works. So the next thing I'm going to do is, because again, like I find mechanical things very difficult. This is sort of like, this is my way. If you have a better way of doing it, go for it. I'm just sort of showing you like how I muddle through my lack of perspective talent. I'm going to paste this big ass streetcar here, boop, and sort of just start sizing it to roughly what I need. And I'm just going to use my lasso tool to kind of like really roughly take away anything I don't need in it, right? Because, come on, there we go. Let's see. I guess I could have used the smart selection, but alas. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to go and use the perspective tool, which is under Edit, Perspective Warp. And the instructions are going to say, map out the basic form. So I'm trying to find this side of the trolley. And I'm going to include actually the tracks, right? So I'm sort of finding the existing perspective of the side of this trolley. There we go. That's about right. And then enter. And then it's going to allow me to basically warp and move this so I can kind of match it to what I want, right? So it even has like a little guy standing there. How convenient. So maybe, again, if you remember my reference, I had like the people looking out, right? And I think in my boards, I completely sort of have the perspective wonkety because the people are sort of, they're going off in this direction. And really it's going to, this is going to fix it, right? I'm fixing my perspective. And again, I'm sort of trying to figure out, I know they're not going to scale great. Let's see, there's the wheels. I'm just eyeballing it right now. I'm just kind of trying to figure out the relative scale. There we go. And I bet if I follow, I'm just hitting enter to sort of, there we go. I'm gonna put this behind. Knock back this opacity. There we go. And what you can do if you want to kind of like sort of find the camera gate of your stuff is that I'm just going to select outside of my stroke and I can just fill it in with black. If I want to get a sense of I don't know why. Oh, I'm like, I know why the opacity, because the opacity of the group is down. There we go. There we go. And I can put it way at the top if I want. So again, like this is sort of giving me a sense of the trolley. I feel like the perspective of like my cityscape back here and the trolley is a little off. Definitely getting there though. So here, okay, I'm going to play with the perspective of my trolley a little bit more. Okay, so again, I'm going to find the edges. There we go. Feels a little big, so I'm just going to shrink it down a little bit. And then let me figure out. So again, I imagine if I looked at my ortho, I'm looking down and she's kind of in the intersection because the trolley is in the street. So that's why. Because we're sort of, yeah, so we're in the streets. See, here's the thing. It's like we're kind of like on the curb here. So I'm trying to figure out how the trolley is sort of interacting with this background here. Okay. So I'm just going to hide the trolley. I'm going to hide my reference. And I'm just going to really roughly map in. Again, you can kind of map in just with like the lasso tool or the, the polygonal lasso tool or the I can't talk. Da, 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 da. I kind of like these lighter buildings back here. So this one kind of aligns with here. So I'm just gonna get rid of that shape. Okay. And then for the trolley, I wonder, let me see. Yeah. Sometimes There is a way you can get like, you can put in a perspective grid. Charlie doesn't have to be in the same one. I'm just sort of talking to myself. Apologies. Okay, so I'm just going to use the polygonal tool again to sort of kind of rough out the shape here, where it's like, here is then kind of the chassis. These are big wheels. Just going to fill in the sort of the interior of the car, because then what I can do here is, because usually when you're mapping in your characters for layout, you put them in like a completely different color so that, you know, I should have done that with the conductor, but oh well. Let me see. And again, if I had done sort of my special poses, I could sort of just knock her in there. Okay, so that's her first pose, and then this is basically her second pose. And I'm noticing that step is really high, so again, I might do a little bit of finagling to kind of make sure that her foot on this, because this is where the banana peels is going to, the banana peel is going to be. And what I might do with the conductor is, what layer is my conductor on? There we go, he's on this one. I'm just going to give him, I'm going to make him like a different color. I know that he's sort of, so again, he has two poses. He has, you know, he's helping her up. And then the other one is there she is. Okay, so I can also label this where this is like Anna 1, and then this is Anna 2, and then this is conductor 1, and this is conductor 2. Sorry, this is conductor 2, and this is conductor 1. So in this one, he's like, oh my goodness, you have fallen down, miss. So he's bending over here. And I need to get this guy designed. There we go. And Anna is like, so Anna 1 and Anna 2, and then conductor. Conductor kind of gets a little, there we go, make sure. And then Anna. There we go. Okay. Cool. And I can sort of put these in a group of pose reference that I can sort of hide, right? There we go. I'm going to put all my photo reference in a folder. There we go. But that's kind of like the start of my layout, right? It's like now I can sort of start, like I kind of have the basic sense of how things are blocked in. And I can sort of play with, I can sort of move things around and sort of adjust things. Where is this piece? There we go. I want to sort of just flatten these two. There we go. Again, I feel like, I could maybe move this over like this. Just playing with like different. So I kind of want the street to sort of point towards her. And again, what I could do is almost do like a blue line pass on top of everything, right? So erase the conductor here. And now that I have like the perspective of the trolley, I could definitely sort of figure out. I wish I could do shift and do like lines diagonal, but it doesn't seem to want to do that. It has to use the line tool. And I'm like, it's so annoying because I don't want to always use the line tool. Let's see. So I know this perspective's correct, right? Because the machine did it. I'm just trying to figure out like the ground plane that my main character is on. That's kind of all I'm doing right now. Again, this is not mathematically precise, but just giving me a sense of kind of her ground plane. Yeah, I really I hate the line tool in Photoshop. So again, this is sort of enough for me to even animate off of, right? Just gonna group this. Rough pass and save. There we go. So again, now it's sort of, either what I could do is even like unhide this guy, right? And start just sort of, using this trolley as sort of a reference, or depending on the design of the trolley, I could probably look up New York trolleys and start sort of doing that. So here. There are also these sort of open ones here where they were seated right on the edge, but I don't feel like drawing that much people. There we go. That's kind of good. Again, I want to just be careful I don't get overly detailed because I don't want to do that. That one's sort of interesting. So here. Holding down R to rotate. So it has sort of these two lines. Like that sort of has this sort of outcropping, right? So this is like the entrance into it. I'm like, I don't know, trolley stuff. Ah, there we go. Okay. At this point, I'll probably look at like, so my style reference, right? Like I wanted to do something that was like Jill McBoing Boing. So again, it's like I don't want to get too detailed. I want to sort of stay impressionistic. And again, I can either sort of bake the people into this. Okay. Need to get a close-up of that sort of part of the... So the banana, we put the banana on this one right here. Kind of tapers up here, doesn't it? Basically wondering, do I have to do see-through windows? Like if there's windows on this side. Basically trying to draw through the design of this trolley, right? So once I can kind of figure out how it's built, then I kind of want to give it this overhang. Like I know perspectively it doesn't work, but I kind of like that it kind of points. I don't know. Kind of a fan of it. Seems like they have like writing on it, right? You know, I'm going to do the people as two different stages because at first they're not going to be looking at her because she hasn't fallen yet. And then the next stage, I'm going to have them all looking out at her. So I'm not going to bake them into the layout. Or what I'll do is I'll finish the layout and then kind of include them in. Just sort of feeling out the perspective of this darn thing. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Whoa! Why are you in front, Pure Ref? Oh. Oh, wait. Like, ooh. There we go. No, stop, stop, stop. Pure Ref. Save. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So there's like my rough layout, right? And from here, again, I'm probably going to be like, where's my tonal pass? Do I have a tonal pass in here? Rough pass. Yeah. Here's my So maybe even like that, it's like I don't quite want it that dark, but maybe just like a touch darker. And then even this. Oh, at this point, I just zoomed in. I just cropped out because I don't need the reference images quite so much anymore. Um, at this point, what I would probably do is look at my style reference and start figuring out how do I want to get this stylistically closer to what I want. So I'm gonna look at my main mood board, right? And again, I kind of want, like, I was looking at Mutts and Calvin and Hobb and Peanuts. I kind of like the sort of, the sort of rough aesthetic of like this short here. So again, I'm looking at like very kind of simple lines. And I kind of like the sort of, because the crotch hatchiness of this, because there's something about like the original um, newspaper illustrations that I really liked too, that I should have that in here, but I don't have the original Anna one in here. Um, I want to bring that aesthetic in here, and I kind of like what is being done with Mutts in terms of like it's a little bit of cross hatching. That's nice. Good old Patrick McDonald vowel. There we go. So, and the other thing is that I could even bring in my turnaround of Anna. Where is my turnaround? I have like two folders. I need to really consolidate them because I have them in different areas. Here we go. Here's my turn. So again, here, maybe I want to take this and just sort of paste her in here roughly. Looking at her here, I almost want to like make her like squatter and fatter. I'm like, huh. I wonder I might go into the turnaround and sort of adjust it because looking at it, it's like kind of I might plump her up a little bit. So kind of like her being that height. There's something endearing about it. I know I said I finalized my design, but maybe not yet. Who knows? kind of cute. I like that. So I actually might bring that back into the turnaround and revise it accordingly. So the kind of reason I have her in here is that she's kind of like a bit of a style, she's kind of a style reference. Of like how she's going to fit into this world. Because like the line weight here is very kind of, the line weight of the characters is very equal to the line weight of the environment around it, right? So with that in mind, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure that as I do my cleanup, clothes rough, that her line weight is sort of consistent with the world around her. So let's see. I kind of want a little bit of a scratchier line. There we go. Kind of classic cartoonist. I'm so bad at like doing like physical things, guys. I'm just like, oh no, this trolley. Ah. It just makes me so. Here we go. Just feel so insecure without some sort of hard reference. Might, I might sort of do a tie down pass before even doing like a clean pass. Looking at it, I might. That's my blue line. Yeah, I'm gonna do like a tie down pass before I commit my final line. So for that, I'm just gonna use like a dark blue. And I'm gonna go back to like a pencil just because I don't know, just makes me feel more secure. I can't explain it. There we go. Yeah, it's just kind of too messy to tie down. Kind of like the curved. This is like the doorway. This is kind of like the windshield, I guess. I don't know. But again, if I have the conductor standing inside outside, I'm going to think through to how I'm going to layer that with my final cleanup pass, right? But I'm not doing that, but I'm going, oh, I might want to set up the file so that it's really easy to layer my conductor man. My conductor man. Um, I'm almost using the lines of the reference because I don't quite trust my lines. That being said, I'm not against the fact that my lines have a bit of a naivete about them. It's hard doing UPA style. It's hard simplifying things, right? Simplifying things effectively. is like the flip the inside. Making this trolley a bit longer. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. I know it's not perfect, but I'm not really going for a perfect aesthetic, and it's finished is better than perfect. I don't know if I'm going to keep the sort of I had this sort of rough perspective in the background. I don't know if I need it so much. Like I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't really know if I need it or want it. One thing that I was thinking about looking at this is if it would be cool to put kind of like a newsprint sort of like, you know, the printing process, you get kind of those circles. I'm like, what do you call it? Halftone pattern. Or even like sort of this paper texture. So what I'm doing is I'm going to just do a quick, this is just as a test, halftone pattern. There we go. Let's see. I know this is going to be watermarked, but I want it kind of dirtied too. That's the other thing. It's kind of interesting. So again, whoa, it's not full res, but I'm just testing an idea that I had out. Oh, where's my screenshot? There it is. Okay. Oh, nope, I lost it. There it is. So again, I just thought about it right now and I was like, oh, would it be cool if I did, you know, do I like it or not? It's like, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. Let's me try something a bit more uniform. I guess it's going to be small, but again, it's just if I decide to do it, I would get the full res version, but right now I'm just playing, right? Okay. And again, like it's kind of interesting. I'm not against it. Kind of gives it an interesting look. Kind of like that. Hmm. So what I'd probably do is like look up like a halftone. Let me see. How to do halftone in Photoshop. I know that there's a way to do it. Filter, pixelate. Oh, there we go. But okay, can I do a smart layer? Layer masks. Style. It's not quite a fill or adjustment layer. There we go. So I just did a duplicate just in case I want to go back. So filter, pixelate, color halftone. Haha. There we go. What do the instructions say? What do they say? They say color halftone, adjust radius channel. Okay, so whoa! So it does not allow me to preview that. Okay, interesting. Filter, pixelate, color halftone. Interesting. Then if I did like a so say I want it to be monochromatic. Oh, interesting. When I monochromatic it gets kind of like it though. Interesting. Okay, let's try some other noise, pixelate. Each channel is controlled by a screen angle. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Okay. Radius and channel. Radius. I don't quite see the difference. Yeah, I want it to be monochromatic, but it keeps kind of... How do I get... Documentation. Oh, 2019. That doesn't answer it. Interesting. So yeah, I'd probably play with that because I don't want it to be colorized because I want that black dot look that this sort of had. That's what I want. So again, for now, I'm just going to keep it in because I kind of want to remind myself that I like it like that. And this is actually be a good chance for me to do kind of like a full concept, like figure out like do my characters and kind of like do like a I can't remember the name of it. The sort of like sample and image that you do, the layout. But again, I would kind of tweak it at this point. I don't know if you've been watching up until now, but again, this would be enough for me to start animating off of. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with this, so I probably would just start proof of concept. That's the word I want. I would do a proof of concept with this and kind of do any tweaks from there, start adding in the characters, and use this kind of as a baseline to start doing all the other layouts from. So that's kind of how I work. Again, hopefully this helps you with your layout work.